Picture a world where it rains metal, where the atmosphere could crush a submarine, and where the surface temperature could melt lead. No, this isn't the latest sci-fi blockbuster, it's our closest planetary neighbor, Venus. And for nearly 3 decades, the Soviet Union was utterly obsessed with unveiling its secrets. Forget Mars mania. Back in the swinging 60s, Venus was the real belle of the interplanetary ball. While today's space enthusiasts salivate over the red planet like it's the last slice of pizza at a cosmic buffet, the Soviets had their sights set on a much steamier target. This is the door to the universe. So why Venus? Well, for starters, Mars was about as exciting as a documentary on paint drying. Thanks to Earth-based telescopes, we knew it was a red, dusty bore fest. Venus, on the other hand, was the ultimate tease, a planet shrouded in mystery. Some dreamed of a tropical paradise, a steamy jungle world teeming with alien life. Others, like the famously fun at parties Carl Sagan, suggested it might be more like the universe's worst sauna. But there was only one way to find out, and the Soviets were determined to be the first in line at this planetary peep show. Enter Venera, the Soviet Union's cosmic love letter to Venus, written in titanium and sealed with the blood, sweat, and tears of countless engineers. It was a program that would push technology to its limits, reveal a world beyond our wildest imaginations, and prove that sometimes the most exciting discoveries come from the most inhospitable places. So strap in, space cadets, as we dive into the story of humanity's most ambitious planetary exploration program of the 20th century. In 1961, the USSR kicked off their Venus vacation plans with Venera 1 and 2. These probes were less boldly go and more boldly went kaput. Both suffered full system failures before reaching their destination, returning about as much data as a brick with a stamp on it. But failure is just success in progress, right? Well, not if you're losing to the Americans. In 1962, the US Mariner 2 probe swaggered past Venus, completing the first up-close observation of another planet. Mariner 2 confirmed Sagan's party-pooping prediction. Venus was hot. And not, ooh, that's spicy hot, but melt your face off hot. We're talking temperatures of up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit or 482 degrees Celsius. On the day side, NASA, being the sensible folks they are, basically said, yeah, no thanks, and shifted their focus to the Moon and Mars. The Soviets, however, were not so easily deterred. They saw Venus' hellish conditions as less of a warning and more of a challenge. Enter Venera 3 and 4. The Soviets' beefed-up sequel to their earlier flops. These bad boys were equipped with everything but the kitchen sink. Barometers, radar altimeters, gas analyzers, and even a detachable descent module. The plan was simple: parachute down through the Venusian atmosphere, taking readings all the way. Venera 3 experienced what engineers technically call an oopsie and crashed into Venus, becoming the first man-made object to touch another planet. Venera 4, however, was the closest thing to a success story so far. It deployed its parachute and drifted down into Venus' atmosphere like a cosmic dandelion seed. For 90 glorious minutes, it sent back data, revealing that high in Venus' atmosphere, conditions were downright pleasant, like a warm summer day on Earth. But as the probe descended, things got weird. After those 90 minutes, transmission went dead. The best guess? The probe was crushed like a beer can at a frat party. So descending into Venus' atmosphere is like diving into the ocean, if the ocean were made of acid and hot enough to melt lead. Not ones to quit while they're behind, the Soviets went back to the drawing board. For Venera 7 and 8, they made 2 key modifications. First, they beefed up the descent module with more insulation than a Siberian winter coat. Second, they got clever with the parachute, adding a tie that would melt at a certain temperature, allowing for a faster descent. On August 17, 1970, Venera 7 made history. Despite its parachute deciding to peace out early, the lander reached the surface intact. It bounced, it tumbled, but by Lenin's beard, it survived. And what it found confirmed scientists' worst fears. The surface temperature was a toasty 475 degrees Celsius or 887 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to melt lead and definitely hot enough to make you regret wearing your favorite polyester jumpsuit. Venera 8, launched in 1972, was the overachiever of the bunch. Not only did it land safely, but it also kept transmitting for a whole hour. It confirmed that yes, Venus was ridiculously hot, and added that the pressure on the surface was 92 times that of Earth. It's like being 1 kilometer underwater, except the water is hot enough to melt zinc and is actually sulfuric acid. By Venera 9, the Soviets were getting cocky. They decided, you know what, parachutes are for wimps. They redesigned the lander with a wild hat-like contraption called an aerobrake and shock-absorbing landing legs. The result? A probe that could free fall from 47 kilometers up and land safely. It's like designing a car that can drive off a cliff and parallel park on impact. In 1975, Venera 9 captured the first photograph ever taken on another planet. And what a photo it was! A field of jagged rocks that looked about as inviting as a bed made of Legos. Venera 10, its twin, landed a few days later and found a smoother surface, probably an ancient lava flow. Venera 13 and 14 were the grand finale of the Soviet Venus saga. These probes didn't just land, they thrived, well, for about 2 hours. They took color photos, analyzed soil samples, and even recorded the sounds of Venus. So why did we stop visiting our hot-tempered neighbor? Well, for one, the Soviet Union had a bit of an "it's not you, it's me" moment with the whole existing thing. But more than that, Venus is just plain hard to explore. You can send a robot to Mars and it'll last for years. On Venus, you're lucky if your multi-million-dollar probe lasts longer than a TikTok trend. There's also a certain irony in our technological progress. As our gadgets get more advanced, they also become more delicate. The old Soviet Union, with its built-like-a-tank philosophy, was uniquely suited to creating machines that could withstand Venus. Today, we can fit more computing power in our pockets than was used to land on the moon. But could an iPhone survive on Venus? Let's just say Apple's warranty definitely doesn't cover that kind of damage. But wait, there's more. Recent findings have reignited interest in our hellish sister planet. In 2024, astronomers reported the detection of 2 gases in Venus clouds that could potentially indicate the presence of life: phosphine and ammonia. Now, before you start packing your bags for a Venusian vacation, remember that these aren't smoking guns for alien life. They're more like slightly warm water pistols. These gases, known as biosignatures, are often associated with biological processes on Earth. Finding them on Venus is like stumbling upon a half-eaten sandwich in the desert. It doesn't prove there's a deli nearby, but it makes you wonder. Dr. Dave Clements from Imperial College London suggests that if Venus had a warm, wet phase in the past, life might have evolved to survive in the only habitable niche left, the clouds. It's like life found their planetary equivalent of moving to the attic when the ground floor became flooded with lava. The Soviet Venera program, for all its failures and successes, remains one of the most audacious endeavors in space exploration history. It's a testament to human ingenuity, perseverance, and our species' remarkable ability to engineer machines that can briefly survive in places we absolutely cannot. As we look to the future of Venus exploration, we carry forward the lessons learned by those determined Soviet engineers. Who knows, maybe one day we'll be able to send probes that last not just hours, but days or even weeks on the Venusian surface. Until then, we'll keep our eyes on the skies, our instruments tuned to those mysterious Venusian clouds, and our sunscreen SPF set to "Are you kidding me?" From failed Soviet space dogs to the possibility of diamond rain on Neptune, we've got enough mind-bending space facts to make your brain do backflips. Like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss another video. And unlike Venus atmosphere, our content won't crush your spirit, though it might occasionally melt your preconceptions. So why not stick around? After all, in space, no one can hear you stream.